The head kick is one of the most devastating strikes to land in MMA. Unless you are fighting Dan Hooker, landing a flush head kick usually means the beginning of the end of the fight. There's a problem with head kicks though. Landing them is really hard. Since the beginning of 2024, there have been 51 UFC events. This means there has been close to 600 fights. In those 600 fights, only 5 have ended in result of a head kick. That is less than 1%. What makes landing head kicks so difficult? All striking weapons come with positives and negatives. For example, the jab's positive is it's the easiest punch to land, but because of that, it is the least dangerous punch in terms of knockout threat. When you apply this thought process to the head kick, the most dangerous knockout threat, it makes sense why it is the hardest to land. The distance that the head kick has to cover is the main reason for its difficulty to land. To bring your foot/shin all the way up to their head without them realizing is a very hard task. So if we want to land head kicks, we have to employ some strategies. Here are the 3 best strategies to land head kicks. The conditioning strategy. The conditioning strategy is one that takes advantage of our opponent's reactions and the limitations of the human body. Unfortunately, as humans, we are physically unable to defend every single part of our body at once. When we put our hands high to defend our head, we leave our body open, and vice versa. Valentina Shevchenko employed this conditioning strategy masterfully in her fight against Jessica Eye at UFC 238. In a fight that lasted a little over 5 minutes, Valentina battered Jessica Eye's body with the rear body kick. After accepting 5 or 6 clean body kicks, Jessica's brain decided she should try to block one of those. Problem is though, the kick now came up to the head, resulting in one of the most vicious knockouts in the history of women's MMA, the disguise strategy. In Greek mythology, the story of the Trojan horse describes how during the Trojan War, the Greeks fled and left a giant wooden horse as a peace offering. However, what the Trojans didn't know was inside the horse were Greek soldiers who would surprise them and ultimately win the war. Whether this story is real or not doesn't really matter to us. It illustrates the effectiveness of a good disguise. In fighting, this can be translated into tricking our opponent into thinking a certain attack is coming to blind them from our actual attack. The most famous example of this would be Leon Edwards' shocking comeback knockout over Kamaru Usman. Edwards tricked Usman into believing a left cross was coming, and in reaction, Usman looked to parry and slip his head to his own right.
Oh, that's not the right move, like, you fucking can't do that.
This disguise, which Leon used, is called a same side head kick, putting a punch on the same side of the kicking leg in front of the kick to disguise it. The same side head kick may be the most popularly known, but it is not the only way to disguise your head kicks. Think of any action in MMA, from strikes to even takedowns. If you can successfully trick your opponent into thinking that a certain action is coming and then meet them with a head kick, devastating impacts will follow. In addition, the strikes that you do not see coming hurt the most. So this disguise strategy not only helps you land the head kick, it drastically increases the percentage of knocking your opponent out. The angle strategy. This is the most peculiar of strategies when it comes to landing head kicks. A change in angle brings our foot closer to the target, making the head kick easier to land. In Stephen Thompson's first ever MMA fight, he implemented both the angle strategy and the disguise strategy beautifully. Thompson angles off to his own left, positioning his shoulders away from his opponent. With his shoulders facing away, he offers up a less threatening posture. This brings the opponent's guard down and provides them with a false sense of security, which aptly prepares them to get knocked unconscious by the incoming head kick. So a quick recap, landing head kicks is not easy. So, if we want to kick people in the head, we must employ some tricks and strategies. The proven strategies we've gone over today were the conditioning strategy, the disguise strategy, and the angle strategy. All of these can work at the same time, so the more you use at once, the tougher it will be for your opponent to see the head kick coming. Hopefully, this video helps you kick someone in the head.